been nearly 2 years since I moved this car, since I last drove it, since I last unlocked it even. But I just unlocked it all. My main reason was because I found this. So I just wanted to stick that on. But yeah, this car, if you haven't seen it already, I better give you a few clips so you understand what it is. But it looks like an old lady Corolla, but it's really not. I haven't opened this car up for, I think it was, last time I drove this was middle to the end of June 2019. I did the half-mile day that day, and then limped it home because something weren't right. And then I locked it, and I haven't moved it since. I haven't even unlocked it since. So it's growing some mould on the seats. Things are fading. Methanol kit's still there. Still smells quite clean and looks quite clean, but there is mould everywhere. This battery's got to be flat now, I'm guessing. I mean, it's been, the kill switch has been off, but surely. Oh, you press that, don't you? Fucking hell. 13.3 volts still. That means this should probably start. It's been 2 years and this lithium battery is still 13.3 volts. Holy shit. Maybe I should try and start it. I know it doesn't run properly. It's something, I think it's down a cylinder, but still, be interesting. So yeah, Devil's Own methanol, a Wolf V550 aftermarket ECU. Yeah. How do you even work this? Is that on? It's been so long I can't even remember how this fucker works. This is a kill switch. Oh no. We have power. Wonder if the car will start. Let's look under the bonnet. Looks like it always did. Still very clean. Probably because it's been covered in oil. I suppose I better check the oil before I even try and start it. And I think it's knackered anyway, but let's check the oil. Holy shit. Nothing. Dry. We'll see if I got any oil, otherwise this is a no start straight away. Right, just added 2.5 litres of Halford's finest, and by that I mean cheapest, 1040 semi-synthetic, just to make sure it's, you know, because it's knackered, don't get me wrong, but I still need to, I don't want to make it worse than it already is. So let's see if it starts. The answer, it seems, is no. It's dodgy as well. Maybe that's why it ran lean. No, it's broke. Holy shit. Oh my god, these lines clearly aren't methanol proof. Look. Fuck's sake. Methanol's at the lines. This is the only one that's staying in. Maybe that was always off, and that's why it, well, not always off, but that's maybe why it died on the last run. Because the methanol hit the line. This is running pure methanol, not like a mix. Fuck's sake. No, it's not starting. Sounds like it's got some compression though. Maybe not full, but it's got some. Fuck's sake. Today I'm getting on with various bits and pieces with the MX-5 because, to be honest, it's kind of pissing me off that there hasn't been much progress lately, just because it's getting to the stage where there's less and less stuff I can just do and more stuff I need to rely on people to do. I can't do anything else to the inside yet until the rear roll bar and stuff turns up, because the rear roll bar and the door bars are going to dictate how well, if at all, the seats will fit. And it's entirely possible that I'm going to have to fucking totally redo how the seats are going to be mounted, depending on that. So I might have undone all the work I've already done, but yeah, we'll see about that bit. I fucking hope not. But until it turns up, it's been a few weeks, but supposedly on its way. Yeah, until that's done, nothing else I can do about that. Subframe, I finally got some 4 new bolts for the main front 4 subframe bolts that I didn't, or I don't know what I did with the originals, but all sorted now, just been under there, hence the bar down there, and done it all, so subframe's all up together. At the back, one of the weak points of these cars, and it was deliberate by Mazda, was they made this arm here with a little notch in it, just there, so in the event of a crash, that would break as part of like the crash safety whatever. But obviously that means that's the weak point when you put a load of power through it and it snaps the arms. I didn't know about this until, well, the other day. So, because it's never happened to me before. I've broke diffs on these, but never broke an arm. And I only realised the other day that people basically plate up the arms on these to make them strong, and then they're pretty bulletproof. So today I had a look and was thinking, right, now I'll take the whole diff thing off to reinforce it. But now looking at that engineered in weak point and the amount of grief it would be to take it all off again, I'm not going to bother. I am going to let it break first, because it makes no difference. When it breaks, I get another one. They're not rare or expensive, so I'll let it break first. And when it does, then I'll, you know, reinforce it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Another thing I wanted to do, and again, this is something I've never ever done before on MX-5s, despite having half a dozen of them. So again, this should be one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it things again. But the more, it's the influence of the internet, unfortunately. I see everybody fitting all these various different fucking braces to the chassis and the suspension. It's meant to really help. And although I think a lot of them are bullshit, yeah, and they add weight too, I can imagine some of them helps. And there's a few. There's one that goes, I mean, on later MX5s there is a bar here standard, but this early one hasn't even got provision for it. They didn't come with it. But this one did come with some kind of weird bar. It was already bent, so I can't see how it would do any good from there to there. And you can buy loads of aftermarket ones which sort of mount to like there, to the diff and all sorts of shit. And again, this is something I was considering doing. But then I thought about it again, it's like, hang on a minute. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I can fit these after. Because the thing is, I ain't got much money. So I don't really want to spend money doing it when I don't need to. It's the same at the front. There's these things they call frog arms, which sort of brace the sort of in front of the doors to the front wing chassis area, which is meant to be a massive improvement on these. But I've never done it before, and yeah, it sounds like it would help, but it can wait. I would like to do it, but I don't want to spend the money for nothing. And a lot of people say about you get what they call frame rail reinforcements, which is just the chassis rails on these are weak as shit, and you can buy these like stainless reinforcement things which bolt sort of around it all the way front to back, and again that's meant to really help. But I've never even heard of them until this car, because on my normal other MX5s I always sort of they were always low budget affairs, you know what I mean, but they still handle mint. So and this one, the chassis rails are pretty good nick, and also the gearbox cross member is now between them, so there's a lot more support than the standard one, which has no gearbox cross member. So again, I don't know if it's needed, but I could fit it after. It just, I'm worrying about all this stuff that I, can't really afford at the moment. I need to stop worrying about it and just get on with the fundamentals, because it's pissing me off not being on the road. I want to use this thing and I want to finish a fucking Corolla, but there's no room to until this is done. Well, I'm mostly here today to test the Volvo out now I've done the pre-turbo throttle. While I was here, I decided I better get on with something that I didn't know anything about until, what, not even a week ago. I'm glad I did know, because it would have resulted potentially in the destruction of this engine at some point. And that was changing the crank pulley that runs the cam belt, hence the cam belt being back off. On this one I've done it already, but I will show you, because I've got a second one over there that I've got to put on the 940 at some point. I was gladly he messaged me on Stav-Tech. Martin Leaf, who runs Viking Fabrications, who make all sorts of awesome like tuning parts for these cars, like fabricated stuff, so manifolds, adjustable suspension arms, all sorts of stuff. My car's got loads of bits of his. It was already on there when I bought it, but he does it now for a lot of these red block rear wheel drive Volvos, and like real cool bits of kit at good prices. And he's also the guy that lent me the chips at the beginning as well, so overall he's been a massive help. Anyway, he messaged me the other day and said, oh, I don't know if you realise, but if I was you, I would get a uprated crank cam belt pulley, because they're known to break. It's like, what the fuck? I didn't know anything about that. Honestly, it was complete news to me. I've never seen it mentioned. And obviously I'm lucky, well, not lucky, but my Volvo has had some right abuse and I've never broke one. And to be honest, even if it did, it wouldn't matter, because the V-cam is non-interference. All it would do was leave me stranded until I changed it, which is no big deal, wouldn't do any actual damage. But obviously this engine's got a massive cam and it's very much interference. So if the cam belt slipped or broke, bent valves at the very least, maybe bad pistons, maybe lots of things. So yeah, I really don't want that to happen to this. And it turns out it's happened to Martin's 940 twice in the past, and his is again sort of similar sort of state of tune, nothing insane in the past when it happened, but it's well worth doing, because the reason is basically it's twofold, it turns out. Again, this is not personal experience, this is purely what I've read about and so on. Twofold is the actual pulley is like a cast steel or something and not particularly strong. And secondly, which I did know about but I didn't think it was a big deal, is it hasn't got like a proper keyway, certainly not a full length one, it's just like a little knobbly bit. So obviously that's not exactly strong compared to like a proper keyed crank. And I know on other cars, I think LS's, when they supercharge them and stuff, they add like an aftermarket keyway because it's known for slipping. And you can see why it would break off on this, because it's not a proper keyway. But because I've got one over there, I'll show you what I did to this one. Because the thing is, it's not just a straight fit. I mean, I wish it was, and I expect there's kits that would make it straight fit, but you will need like a crank pulley, for example, that would suit exactly this style. And I didn't have one, of course, because this was intended for the standard setup, because I knew nothing about this shit. Either way, honestly, there was like 5 minutes with a angle grinder, sort it out. So I will show you. Walk over here to the other one. Right then, this is a standard one, and this is the uprated one with a keyway. This is obviously removable, just slots in. Basically, as standard, the slot that this goes into on the crank to keep this in place normally just houses that little knobble. Tiny, you know, same thickness and all that, but like 4 or 5 mil thick rather than full length. And obviously 4 or 5 mil thick like that could break. It's not massively likely because there's no huge load on the crankshaft. It's only on mine especially, it's only turning the alternator, nothing else. But regardless, it happens. And also, although the metal to me looks identical, supposedly these are known, well, I've seen it happen. I saw it the other day on a forum post, somebody said about it happened to them. These just fracture and break for some God knows what reason, and this one is made of something better that doesn't. So yeah, you basically let me take the thing out. So imagine that's the crank, and it's got the slot which normally houses that little bobble. You put that in lined up, and then you just push a keyway in, because the crank has got like a semicircle machined into it like that, so it matches. So you push this in, or in reality you'll lightly tap it and it goes in. Problem is, you end up with it sitting like that out the end of the crank, out the end of the front pulley. And obviously you've got the accessory pulley that goes on there, which has also got the timing marks. On a standard engine, all that would really do by getting it correct is help you time the engine up correctly. So not a big deal apart from when doing cam belts. But on mine, it's also got the trigger wheel on it, so it has to be A, not slipping, and B, in the right place, so I can get the fucking, you know, so the ECU will work properly, because that's where the ECU picks up where on the 4-stroke cycle the car is. So what cylinder to fire, what cylinder to inject the fuel, blah blah blah. Anyway, So the problem is there on the standard pulleys, it's just a little tiny notch like that to fit that in. It's no bigger, and as you can probably see side by side, it's fucking massively bigger. So what I did, and it's pretty simple, I thought myself, oh fuck it, I will get the angle grinder and make the notch that normally houses that on the front pulley a bit bigger. And Thomas was like, oh, I wouldn't, it's that'd be all too easy to get it wrong, and obviously this is pretty vital you get it right. He said it'd be a lot easier just to modify this. So that's exactly, and again, just with the angle grinder, and that's exactly what I did. I made it small enough, basically, and it made it stick out like that. So it's absolutely bang on. It just little knob, you know, to be honest, mine's slightly bigger than that, but it's enough for it to fit in, and it's perfect, bang on. Literally looks a bit scary and fiddly, because obviously if you take off too much or whatever, you fucked it up. But it took me about 10 minutes, very carefully, and like taking it out a few times to check and putting, you know, in and out to work out to get it right. And then all I had to do was spin the trigger reel around 180 degrees, because if you look on this, the notch and where it goes into the crank are 180 out from each other, which is a bit annoying, to be fair. On the this one, it's all one thing, which makes a lot more sense, to be honest. So I had to spin the trigger wheel around and done. So yeah, I need to do the same for the standard pulley to get it on the 940. I will do that at some point, not today because I can't be bothered, but yeah, that's something to do. To be honest, I might possibly get a lighter pulley for the 940 at the same time, because supposedly it makes them more responsive and revvy, and as soon as I have to take it off to fucking modify it anyway, I might modify a new one. I don't know, not sure about that yet, but very vital. Looks like fuck all. Costs, I think it's about 80 quid. So it's not, you know, seems a lot of money for one little thing, but 80 quid is worth its weight in gold, where you got a choice of 80 quid and 10 minutes work, or a chance of a fucked engine. And no, I don't want that. Here's something that arrived today for the MX5. Nothing special, but important. And that's 2 stainless flanges, which I'm going to need for the turbo link pipe, because as I've explained before, it's going to be like there somewhere where the turbo is, and the external wastegate will go off the link pipe. And you might think, why the fuck have I got one divided and one non? Well, I'm going to run a twin scroll turbo, but for now at least, it's going to be on a single scroll manifold. And yeah, you can just bolt a twin scroll turbo straight on, but obviously this whole section, the divider, technically is a disruption to airflow, because obviously it's just a flat surface for the air to hit, which is shit. One solution, and it's easy enough and I've done it before, is smooth this off, make it more of a knife edge at the divider on the turbo, which is, you know, there you go, there's your flow sorted. The only problem there is you've now, you couldn't ever realistically put that turbo on a twin scroll manifold then, which is shit, because obviously at one point there's no doubt in the future this will end up with a twin scroll manifold. So, to be honest, this was Thomas's idea. I didn't even think of this, but it's like obvious once he said it. The link pipe, we'll leave the turbo itself normal twin scroll, no smoothing it off. This will be this end, of course, and this will be at the end of the link pipe, and it will be one side of this which I smooth off to make the flow, you know, undisrupted by the flat surfaces, leaving the turbo normal basically. So then good times, because obviously this is 15 quid for a stainless flange. Whereas a turbine housing, I'd have to buy a whole new one. And once you see what's going on with the turbo, you'll realise it's pretty much impossible to find another one or get another one with what I'm going to be doing. So I can't fuck with that. It has to stay fine. So this is my solution. And these are honestly, I bought them off eBay the other day, 15 quid each, delivered, I think they are. I can't remember the company. They gave me a little, they sent me a key ring with it. Hang on. Oh, they look good, so I don't mind fucking, here we go. They were called Max Spec. They sent it, this key ring was just in with it. And yeah, 15 quid. They come in a couple of days. Plasma cut by the looks of it, but nice, like they're not. They are well done. 15 quid, you can't really go wrong. Stainless. And it was UK, it come in a couple of days. I think it said it was from Sheffield. I'm pretty sure it said from the steel city of Sheffield or some shit like that. But yeah, UK stuff and perfectly good. I got no problem bigging people up when their stuff's good for the money. That's what I'm all about. And yeah, I think it was like 15 quid delivered each. So that's like 30 quid. Job done.